Hello everyone, this is Genius Yoshi, and today we're going to be rating the Lorcana cards that have been revealed in spoilers for the month of June. Let's go quickly over the rating scale, but I'm using the same rating scale as in the other rating videos. So 5-star are cards that I'm really excited about, I really want to play those. 4 cards are solid cards that will see inclusion in a lot of decks, and I'm happy to play them. 3 stars are cards that I don't really want to play, but I'm okay playing some of them if I have to. 2-star cards I'm hoping will never make the cut for my deck, and a 1-star card I will frown upon anyone who is playing those, except for content and just fun, which I guess there's always an argument for fun, right? Let's get things started with Iago, the loud-mouthed parrot. So he's a 1/4/4/3 and inkable, so slightly weak stats line, but he has a cool ability. You got a problem. So you can exert Iago to choose an opponent's character and give it Reckless, which means that they must challenge if able and they cannot quest. Now, there are very few abilities that prevent your opponent from questing with a character, and you can't challenge ready characters, so just denying the quest on an opponent's character is a valuable ability. On the downside, because Iago has to exert himself in order to use that ability, it means that your opponent has a 1-powered target to challenge on their turn. So Iago is most likely going to get challenged by the opponent's character, which is quite a downside to this ability. Also, I'm not a big fan of Reckless in general, so I'm going to give this card a 3-star rating. Some uses, but not overly powerful. Next on our list, we have Genie On The Job. He's a 3/4/6, so slightly subpar stats, and he quests for 2. He's also evasive. So just in terms of stats and evasive, he's like a slightly more expensive Goofy. But he comes with the ability to disappear, but he's not the one disappearing. When you play this character, you return a chosen character to their player's hand, so it's your opponent's highest costed creature that's the most likely to disappear. And this acts like a big tempo swing. It's not quite a removal spell, but it's as close as it can be. It really just gives the card back to the opponent. But suppose your opponent plays a 5-drop, and then you play Genie, bounce back that 5-drop. You end up with a 3/4 evasive questing for 2 character, and your opponents completely wasted their last turn. It's just that powerful. It has a huge impact on the board, which is well worth the 6 ink you're investing in this card. And the fact that it's not inkable is a slight downside. You need to be mindful of that when you're building your ink curve, but Genie On The Job is most certainly worth it, and I'm quite eager to play Emerald just to play Genie On The Job, really. Fantastic card, and deserves the 5-star rating. We then move to Rafiki, Mysterious Sage. He's a 3/3/4/3 that quests for 1 and has Rush. So he's slightly below par for a 3-drop. Either you get the 4 toughness or the 2nd lore typically for that cost. But the biggest cost in playing Rafiki is the fact that he's not inkable. So let's see if he provides the value of such a card. And his ability is Rush. Basically, he can challenge on the turn that he's played. But 3-drop isn't overly expensive, and there's not that much that you can take down with a 3/3, really. So I don't think it's worth the cost in playing Rafiki over the other 3-drops that have better stats line. So I'm going to give this card a 2-star rating. Next on our list, we have Beast Wolfsbane, a 4/4/5 quests for 2 with Rush. So in terms of stats, it's okay, kind of on par. Maybe slightly subpar stats-wise, but you gain Rush. What I don't like about this card is that you can't ink it. If you could ink it, he would be a fantastic 5-drop with a nice situational ability, nice Rush, but you can't ink it, which means that it's dead in your hand early on, so it better be worth it when you get to it. And his ability is Roar. When you play this character, exert all opposing damaged characters. If it was exert all opposing characters, it would be really, really good. But I don't think that there are damaged characters sticking on the board for very long. either you've challenged an opponent's character and banished it, or the opponent has challenged one of your characters and taken some damage on theirs, in which case it's kind of an attacker anyways, and it's already exerted. So the use cases where you can use that ability effectively are pretty thin. There might be some combos that you can do, but those are going to be situational plays. And for situational plays, I'd much rather have an inkable card. Because of this, I'm going to give this card a 3-star rating. We then come to the brilliant art of Goofy, Musketeer, with a very serious look and the pointy sword. So he's a 3/6 for 5, and he has the bodyguard ability, which forces the opponent to challenge an exerted Goofy before they challenge non-bodyguarded characters. Now Goofy only quests for 1, which is a bit of a downside, but being a 3/6 is very solid for a 5-drop, so solid stat line, bodyguard's a good ability, and 2 for T. When you play this character, you may remove up to 2 damage from each of your Musketeer characters. And that's just a nice bonus ability on top of the icing. Also, Goofy is an inkable 5-drop, which is one of the sweet spots for your inkable cards. You want a lot of inkable 5 and 6 drops, in my opinion, so that you can ink them early and they become strong late game. Because of this, I'm going to give this card a 4-star rating. Lots of utility, good stats, just a solid card. We then look at Vacation Stitch, the Carefree Surfer. Let's see if he holds up as good a card as his counterpart, the 6-drop Stitch, Master of 1/2 drops. So this Stitch is a 4/8 for 7, so he is quite expensive. Decent stats for that cost. He does have 2 lore, but he needs a good ability. So what's his ability? Ohana. When you play this character, if you have 2 or more characters in play, you may draw 2 cards. Wow, this is candy. Not only is it card draw, it's double card draw. It's conditional though. You do need 2 other characters in play, which isn't that hard to set up. What I really like about this card is, well, the ability is fantastic. It's a bit expensive at 7, so you're not going to be playing it in every single deck. It's perfect in a ramp deck where you can make use of Mickey Mouse Detective, which allows you to ramp to Stitch and still have a body in play for Stitch to get you more cards. And it's inkable. So early game, you can't play it, so you ink it. And late game, it's just a powerhouse. So I'm going to give this Stitch the same rating as his counterpart, a 5-star rating. Next is Rapunzel, letting down her hair. She's a 6-drop with stats of 5/4, questing for 2. So decent stats for a 6-drop. With the ability Tangle, when you play this character, each opponent loses 1 lore. Just direct hit when she enters the battlefield. That's actually a pretty decent ability, especially if there are ways to repeat that ability, which we don't know about yet. So even just assuming that this is a one-time ability, it keeps your opponent in check, you get a good body in play that allows you to challenge your opponent's characters, you can quest for 2 lore, and that would be a perfect inkable 6-drop. But it's not inkable. And high-costed non-inkable cards need to be bombs, really. And this card isn't that powerful. So I think it's probably worth a 3-star rating. It's good if you can draw it near turn 6, but it's a dead card in the early game, and it's just not packing quite enough of a punch to deserve a higher rating. Next, we look at Sven, Official Ice Deliverer. He's a 5/7 for 6, questing for 1, vanilla character. I typically rate all vanilla characters as 2 stars, but I'm going to give Sven the 3-star rating because he's in that sweet 5 and 6 drop of inkable cards, which you want a ton in your deck to fill in your ink curve. And it's solid stats line. It's a card that you're happy to draw later in the game, and you're like, alright, well, here's just a big beater to take down my opponent's threats or to slowly chip away, questing 1 at a time. So 3-star ratings it is for Sven. Let's take a look at Maui Demigod. He's an 8/8 for 8, quest for 3. Just super strong stats, and it's all about stats because he has no ability. But 8 is very expensive. It's hard to reach 8. You really need some ramp to get there. And just to compare him with some of the other cards that we've seen what Stitch does for 7. It's card advantage, good stats, weaker stats line, but the ability is just way better, and he's cheaper. So he's got Maui beat there. And then on the other side, if you're just looking for raw stats, well, Sven as a 5/7, questing for 1, it costs 2 less and is much easier to get into play. And so I'd much rather have Sven or Stitch in my deck. So I think Maui here is really comparable to Mickey Mouse the Tailor, where it's a super expensive card that is good when you get to play it, but you're not going to get to play it very often. So unless we see a way to cheat characters in play, like a just-in-time for Maui, ironically, then I think Maui is going to go into the binder. And so I'm going to give it a 2-star rating. Next we have Peter Pan, Never Landing. He's a 3/2 for 3, questing for 1, and he's evasive. So the 2 willpower is really weak. So Peter Pan's not really going to be challenging much of anything. If he does go for a challenge, it's going to be an exchange with the opponent. Now the evasive and questing for 1 don't really jive for me, because you can keep on questing with Peter Pan, but questing for 1 is very slow. So I don't really want to challenge with Peter Pan, don't really want to quest with Peter Pan. What do I want to do with it? I guess it's quest with him until I see something with 3 toughness that I want to take out, and then I just send him on a mission and get banished at the same time as the other character. At least it's inkable. That's one good thing going on for it. So I'm going to give it 2 stars, mostly because I feel bad for the card and really like the artwork, and I can see some uses for it. I guess it's better than Vanilla Creature. Although, is it really? Let's now take a look at Zeus, God of Lightning. He's a 0/4 for 4. Then he has Challenger 4 with Rush. So when you play him, he's a 4/4 Challenger. 4/4. Which is pretty good. You get to take out something that your opponent's played. And then on the next turn, if the opponent doesn't have anything to kill Zeus because he's a 0-powered sitting duck at that point, then you get a quest once with it, or threaten to be a challenger as a 4/4, which can be pretty good. But overall, I think he falls a bit flat. He looks similar to what Jafar does. He does have Rush going for him, but a weaker stats line, and he's non-inkable. So I'm going to give this character a 3-star rating as something that's okay to play, but gets outshined by Jafar. Let's take a look at Simba, Future King. He's a 1/2 for 1. And guess what? When you play this character, you may draw a card, then choose and discard a card. Then he quests for 1. So he's subpar stats-wise for a 1-drop. You most likely don't really want to play him as a 1-drop. Now, how good is the card selection? Well, you have to play him, so you're sacrificing a card from your hand to potentially improve another card from your hand. In a game when you have a free partial mulligan, that type of card selection is not really good. You might see some play in a Stitch Turbo deck where you can dig for Stitch faster, but outside of that, I don't really see this card getting any playtime at all. So I'm going to give it a 2-star rating. Next up, we have Ariel, the Who's It Collector. She's a 3/3 for 4 that cannot be inked and only quests for 1. So she's subpar, not inkable. She needs a good ability. So her ability is look at this stuff. Let's see if it's neat. Whenever you play an item, you may ready this character. Now that's an ability that's interesting. Now, what can you do with this? Well, you can quest with Ariel, play an item, ready her, and just keep her ready. You can quest with Ariel, play an item, ready her, quest with Ariel again, so you get a multi-quest as long as you keep on having items to play, which is really good in items tribal. Now she only quests for one, but that can change. For example, if you're using Mulan, you can increase the amount of lore for which she quests for every time she quests for the turn. So there's a lot of nice combo type potentials with Ariel. And with the card pool we have right now, she certainly does not look broken, but these types of ability tend to be very strong. In particular, you can use her with Moana and then quest with Ariel, and use Moana to ready her and challenge with Ariel. So if you have a bunch of items and princesses, you can have these types of synergies going on, although you probably don't want to play princess and items as a double tribal deck. It's probably taxing a bit too much on what you're trying to do. But what I'm saying is lots of potential with this card. Don't sleep on it. I'm going to give her a 4-star rating. And the last card we're going to look at today is Donald Duck, strutting his stuff. He's a 4/3 for 5, quest for 2 with Ward. Slightly substats for a 5-drop, but he's an inkable 5-drop, and Ward does prevent some of these pesky removal abilities that the opponent can play, so you're almost guaranteed to at least quest for 2 with Donald Duck, if you so wish to do so. So I'm going to give this card a 3-star rating. It's not that great, but it's an inkable 5-drop with guaranteed questing, which has its uses. I hope that you've enjoyed this review of the June spoiler cards for Lorcana, the first chapter. Please let me know where you disagree and where you agree on the ratings. Am I too hard on Rush? I tend to dismiss that mechanic mostly. There are some nice use cases for it, but I think it might be overrated. So let me know in the comments, and also don't forget to subscribe to my channel so make sure you don't miss out any more card reviews or puzzle videos or gameplay videos. Lots of fun stuff coming out as Lorcana is getting closer to the release date that we're all eagerly awaiting. So again, thanks a lot for watching, and I'll see you next time.